Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's episode of our 2020 Family Orientation video series. Today, we're going to be talking about a topic that I know is very important to our family members out there, money. I am joined by two staff from our two offices that you as parents are most likely to interact with regarding finances, Student Financial Services and Financial Aid and Scholarships. Throughout this video, we hope that you'll understand a little bit more about what each office does and how they will be working with your students and you throughout the next 4 or 5 years. So I'm going to have my guests, Maria and Matt, introduce themselves and also share a little bit about what each of their offices does. So Maria, would you like to start?
Sure. My name is Maria Bates. I am the Director of Student Financial Services. We are responsible for assembling student accounts and producing billing statements for all of our students. We're here to assist you with any student account questions you may have and help with payment arrangements.
And I think to help some of the parents that might remember their own college days or have students at other colleges, a lot of times this office is called the bursar's office, but at RIT, we sometimes like to do things differently and we call it Student Financial Services.
Yes.
Right. And Matt.
Hi, my name is Matt Raynell. I am a Student Financial Aid Advisor here in the Office of Financial Aid and Scholarships. My office is here to help navigate you through the financial aid process from start to finish and hopefully make RIT affordable. And we are here Monday through Friday from 8:30 to 4:30 for phone calls, emails, and to assist you the best we can. I'm actually speaking to you from campus, and I am behind me. You will see the beautiful Magic Center, which is one of our newest buildings here on campus.
Yeah, we had to clarify when we first all logged on because I thought Matt might be using a Zoom background because it just looks so ideal. But you will see the clouds moving, so we know he's actually in person at the Magic Center right now. All right, well, let's jump into the questions. And our first question is one that I've already been hearing from parents this summer. I think it's on the top of most people's minds. When do they get the bill and when is it due?
Sure.
Maria, can you start?
Absolutely. Billing statements are generated on or about the 1st of each month, and they're due on the 15th of the month. The billing statement for this upcoming fall semester was generated on July 7th and will be due on August 15th. If the balance is paid in full on that statement and there are no additional changes to the student account, so changes could include changes in a meal plan or housing, for example. If the balance is paid and there's no changes, then no additional billing statements would be generated until December when we generate the bill for spring semester. If a student or parent or family is on the monthly payment plan or there are changes on the account, they would receive the billing statement on or about the 1st of each month going forward. When the bill is generated, we do send a billing notification to the student's RIT email address and any authorized third-party payers that the student has added for access to their eServices account.
Great. So Maria, I'm going to ask you to expand on that last part. You said students get the bill and people who are granted access. So can you talk about how parents can be given that access so they also get the bill?
Absolutely. So students have the option to set up to 3 additional users as authorized third parties on their eServices account. The student does this right online through the eServices portal. And once they add their parent's email address, the parent then receives an email letting them know that their student has granted them access. They will then be asked to set up their own username and password to log into eServices. Upon logging in the very first time, the parent would be asked to verify the student's university ID number and their date of birth. That's just a one-time authentication to link the 2 accounts. And then the parent would just log in anytime with their own username and password.
Great. And to the parents listening, hopefully that information sounds a little familiar to you. I have talked about eServices and your student granting you access in a couple issues of the Family Orientation newsletter this summer. I was also excited to see in the survey I sent the incoming parents that about 80% of you reported that your student has already granted you this access. So that's great. We love that number. We love that you're having these conversations with your students and you're using that guest access. However, in that survey, I also learned that 35% of you were giving your students personal login information. And that leads to our next question, which is, why can't I as a parent just use my student's username and password? And I'm actually going to start answering this question by saying that we strongly discourage parents from using your student's username and password, and not only from using it, but from even having it. We at RIT try to educate students about data privacy, and we know all the damage that can be caused by sharing usernames and passwords. And I personally think that you as a parent can send a really strong message to your student by saying, I'm telling you not to even trust me as your parent. You shouldn't share this with anybody, because we don't want a student thinking like, oh, this is my best friend, this is my roommate, this is my significant other, I can trust them. We really don't want that information being shared. And I know Maria also has some good examples on the technical side of why parents should really be using guest access instead of their student's username and password. Maria, can you share some of those with us?
Absolutely. In addition to what Chelsea had just shared, we discourage sharing usernames and passwords. RIT has some different timing requirements for students and authorized third-party payers regarding the timing of when the timing of when students have to change their password as opposed to an authorized user. Those are different. Students also, when they access eServices, they're required to use multi-factor authentication as an additional layer of protection against their financial data. So a parent using their student's username and password at home, say in Montana, the student would then get a notification on their phone saying, someone's trying to access your account. That can lead to some uneasy feelings. Authorized payers are not required to use the multi-factor authentication. One final thing why it's important for parents to have their own username and password is because SFS, Student Financial Services, can only release student account information to the student directly or to their authorized users on their eServices account. Right. So if you're going to be contacting Student Financial Services on behalf of your student, it's very important that you have been granted access to the information that you're asking about.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that last part, Maria. The parents who've been watching these videos have already been hearing about FERPA and how to get information when it's needed. So that is a really important point about why it's necessary for parents to have that guest access and not use their students' information. So thank you. So let's go back to the payments themselves. Can you share with the parents about how payments are made?
Absolutely. So through eServices, we offer an ACH or an e-check payment option. It's essentially the same as writing out a paper check, only it's done electronically. So you would enter in your routing number and account number, the amount, and you're making that payment. Because you're entering it in there, rest assured it is a very secure site and your information is safe. Another option we offer is credit card. So credit cards are processed through our third-party vendor, Nelnet Business Solutions. Nelnet assesses a 2.55% convenience fee for each credit card transaction for tuition. RIT, for our international students, RIT is partnered with Flywire to streamline the tuition payment process through wire transfer. And we also accept checks mailed directly to our office.
Great. And I know that was a lot of information for parents to take in. Just so you know, it is all available on the Student Financial Services website. So, we're hoping to give you an overview through this video, but if you hear something and want to check it out, definitely go to the 2 websites of the offices we'll be talking about today. Another question regarding payments that I know I've gotten a couple of these questions this summer already, and I actually didn't know the answer to, is what about 529 plans? We know that families set these up for their students to prepare for college, but how are those applied to the account?
Sure. So 529 is actually, each program is slightly different. So we recommend that the 529 account holder contact the specific program to see what information or documentation is required. Once that is submitted, the account holder can have the funds sent directly to them. But in most cases, the 529 program will send the payment directly to Student Financial Services to be posted to the student account.
Great, thank you. And in the very first question you answered, you talked about a payment plan. Can you tell our families about how they can get on a payment plan if they don't plan on paying the bill in one big chunk?
Absolutely. RIT offers a payment plan. There is a $42 fee to do a payment plan per semester. Information regarding the payment plan can be found right on eServices. There's a payment plan link on the left-hand side. And when you click on that link, it will show you what your installments would look like should you choose to do this plan. It would take your full balance for the semester, add the $42, and divide it over the remaining months of the semester. So at this point, it would be 4 monthly installments. So when I talked about our billing statements, you would receive the bill on the 1st of the month for your installment due on the 15th of the same month.
Great. Thank you so much, Maria. I'm sure your voice is getting a little hoarse because you had to answer all those questions at the beginning. So we're going to shift a little bit now to the financial aid side and give Matt his turn in the spotlight. So Matt, this question I get from parents every year, so it's where I'm going to start. So hopefully parents hear it from the beginning and they know the answer. Do families have to fill out the FAFSA every year their student is at RIT?
So yes, if you are a FAFSA filer, then you're going to want to fill out the FAFSA form every year. The new FAFSA form comes available on October 1st of each year, but our priority deadline going forward for a continuing student to complete that would be April 1st.
Great, which is really helpful because parents can fill it out nice and early in October and just get the ball rolling right away.
Right. And it always takes prior year tax information. So even when it comes out October 1st, you're going to be ready to go to fill that out as early as you want to.
So I'm sure parents have a lot of questions about what the financial aid package is, but I want to focus on one particular piece. What does a student do if they were granted work study as part of their package?
Sure. So the federal work study program is money that a student can earn by getting a job on campus. You can apply for a job even remotely before you come to campus online through the student employment office. I always tell students that it's really good starting in the middle of July, even up to the time they get here, to be checking that website on a regular basis because the jobs will come up and down as student schedules change, or maybe some students go on a co-op and other opportunities come up on campus. They can apply for as many jobs as they would like. Once they get a job on campus and they start to work, then they will get a bi-weekly paycheck. The way federal work study money works is when you're filing your FAFSA form for the year of that tax year, and you put down the student's earnings on the FAFSA form, it then asks how much of these earnings were from a federal work study program, and that doesn't work against you on that FAFSA year.
Great. And just a couple other notes about campus employment. Parents, in an upcoming family orientation newsletter, I will be sending information about documents that your student will need to bring on campus to get a job on campus. And one thing that you can do to help prepare your students this summer is to think about things like cover letters and resumes. A lot of offices do require that from students applying to a job. I know when I hire students, I ask them to do a piece of writing and give me their cover letter and resume. And for students in high school or just finishing high school, it might be hard for them to think of what to put on there. And you as a parent can help guide them over the next month before they come to campus to be prepared when they get here to search for a job. But Matt is exactly right. They can start searching right now. So Matt, what if a family's financial situation changes? What do they do with your office in that case?
Sure. So I'm actually putting you guys on and off mute because as I'm sitting in front of this beautiful building on our campus, RIT is ever changing and we're always, around the corner is always something new. So I do have construction going off to me on the left-hand side. So I'm hoping that it's not interfering at all. We do have a form because family financial circumstances can change. They can change before you attend college, or they can even change during the year when you're here. There could be a loss of employment or any other reason why your family financial circumstance has changed. So you can't go on and change the information on the FAFSA form. So what the RIT Office of Financial Aid and Scholarships has done is we've created a form called Change Family Circumstance Form. That can be found on our website. If you're at the rit.edu/admissions/aid website, on the left-hand side, you click on forms. When you get into the forms, it's usually the last form for that specific year. You can print that form, fill it out, and then you can upload it to our secure uploader, mail it in through US mail, or you can bring it to the office. Once we get the change of family circumstances form, our appeals committee will review it, and it usually takes about 2 to 5 business days to come up with a response, and we'll email the student once we have additional aid or any questions or concerns around the appeal.
Great. I think that's really great information to know that when the circumstances change, there can be flexibility, and RIT will work with the families as we are able to help them in this.
Yes, definitely.
So what about our NTID students, or our students from the National Technical Institute for the Deaf? Is there anything different regarding financial aid for those students and their families?
So the financial aid process for NTID students can be slightly different, although we are all one family and it's NTID and RIT. For all of our incoming deaf and hard of hearing students, on their financial aid award letter, we do an estimation of the vocational rehabilitation support, or sometimes called Access VR. The students must provide confirmation documentation to the Office of Financial Aid and Scholarships once they know and they have a final number of what VR is paying towards tuition, fees, room, board, books, and transportation. Because we use an estimate, if that is lower than what our estimate was, then we're going to be able to take a relook at the student's financial aid and see if there's additional financial aid that we can provide for the student. So it's really important that the students get us that documentation. So the VR also sends authorization forms to Maria's office, Student Financial Services. And those authorization forms are for when VR is going to pay into the student's account, and those can't be used for confirmation for our office. So that is a separate process, as well as the book vouchers from VR. If you're receiving a book voucher from VR, that's not going to come through our Office of Financial Aid and Scholarships, nor is it going to come through Student Financial Services. Those are going to be sent directly to the Barnes & Noble here at RIT, and the contact person there is Peter Briggs.
So Maria, you already talked a little bit about how your office can talk to parents about their students' accounts, saying that if they have that guest access, it's much easier for your office to talk about accounts with parents. Is there anything else that you can add about how you talk with parents about their students' accounts?
Absolutely. So as I said earlier, in order for us to release specific student account information, the parent must have access to the information in eServices. If a parent isn't set up as an authorized user in eServices, we do our very best to address questions in a general manner. We just ask that you keep in mind that we are not trying to put up a barrier, but rather protect the student's data and their information. So if you'll be calling, if you'll be emailing us on behalf of the student, please work with your son or daughter to make sure that they have you set up as an authorized user in eServices so we can assist you.
Great. And Matt, is anything about that different for the Office of Financial Aid and Scholarship in terms of talking with parents?
With our office, we will generally go through a series of questions when you first call to make sure that we are talking to somebody who is listed on the FAFSA form. So if you have a situation where it's a single parent household and it's just mom's information on the FAFSA form, we will need a written release from the student and the parent to speak with the other parent or any other third party that they may request.
Great, good to know. And I want to point something else out about financial aid and scholarships is that each student has a specific financial aid advisor by their college. And so if they have specific questions, that's a really good place to start for their student or for you. And like we said before, that information can all be found on the website. Actually, a lot of this information, like I said earlier, we kind of kept it brief for this video, but we know you have more questions. So please visit both of those websites, continue to watch the family orientation newsletters for more information, and don't hesitate to reach out if you have additional questions. I know myself and my colleagues in both of these offices are happy to talk to you, especially as new parents who maybe for a lot of you, this is brand new and you might need a little more help. So please don't hesitate to reach out. And as always, I'm going to end this interview with a question for Maria and Matt that might be off topic depending on how they choose to answer. So I'd like you both to share with our parents, what is your number one piece of advice for parents of incoming students at this time?
All right, so I guess mine would be, don't wait to reach out. Whether you have a question about housing or whether it's a financial question, don't wait. There are people on campus here at RIT who are ready, willing, and able to help you. So give us a call, send an email, don't wait, reach out early.
That's great advice. Thank you.
I guess I would probably just echo Maria as well. The financial aid office is always here to assist you with anything that you might need to help make RIT affordable and to answer any of those questions and to help fill out any documentation that could be confusing if you're doing it from home. So I always tell students not to get so frustrated with the financial documents, that they can always come up and see us, email us, or call us, and we're always here to help.
Yeah, this was such good advice, not just for parents, but also for parents to share with their students. You know, no matter what the topic is, if it's finances, if it's, like you say, housing, academics, don't be afraid to reach out and reach out early. So thank you both for sharing that advice. That was great. Also, Matt and Maria, thank you for joining us. Thank you, parents, for joining us. I think this was a great discussion. And parents, as always, I want to remind you that we need your help this summer to help your student prepare for life at RIT. We want them to be ready to sign that RIT Ready pledge to keep our campus and community safe by washing their hands, wearing a mask, watching their distance. And those are all things that they can begin practicing now this summer. So everyone needs to do their parts, including students and parents. So please help us with that. Thank you again, Matt and Maria, and parents, we'll see you next time.
Thank you.